happy accident for you. We're going to be doing a few different student musicians and authors and artists from Magruder High School. So I'll call a few people up at a few different times, and whenever the person is finished, then you can get up next. We're going to start with May and John Keating, and then we'll move to Liam James's writing.
Okay. Alright, so hello everybody. I'm May, and this is my brother John.
Plug that in.
Yeah.
And to start off this original piece presentation, we're actually going to be doing one cover. It's by Simon and Garfunkel. It's a piece called Flowers Never Bend. We'll just take a minute to get set up here, and really glad to be doing the literary magazine. Done it last year. It's just a really fun outing. It's not a lot of chances to present original pieces in a school environment.
Corridors of sleep, past shadows dark and deep, my mind dances and leaps in confusion. I don't know what is real, I can't touch what I feel, and I hide behind the shield of my illusion. So I'll continue to pretend my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. There's a mirror on my wall, casts an image dark and small, though I'm not sure at all it's my reflection. I am blinded by the light of God and truth and right, and I wander in the night without direction. So I'll continue to pretend my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. Matters not if you were born to play the king or pawn, for the line is thinly drawn between joy and sorrow. And so my fantasies become reality, and I must be in face tomorrow. So I'll continue to pretend my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall.
Alright, this next song is original to our band, No One Else. It's actually one of my dad's old songs, and it's a statement on the modern way that people relate, which oftentimes can be a bit touch and go. Don't break your guitar. Okay.
I'll try. Give me just a second. Just gotta reset up this one real
still show. You make a contest of things you know, and when you do connect, it's sort of indirect, touch and go. You can't be happy and you can't complain. They make it all too easy to avoid a little pain. You pay the bills you owe, and with your heart in tow, touch and go. Some prefer the simple answers, others live a casual life. Pretty soon it feels like no one on which you can rely, and so we touch and go. You're not the kind who's gonna ask them twice. They take you home and they treat you nice, but in the afterglow, before the feelings show, touch and go. Some prefer the simple answers, others live a casual life. Pretty soon it feels like no one on which you can rely, and so we touch and go. You hide your feelings, but they still show. You make a contest of things you know, and when you do connect, it's sort of indirect, touch and go. When you do connect, it's sort of indirect, touch and go. And when you do connect, it's sort of indirect.
Thank you very much.
If you want to give a little sense about what it is and what you're doing, that's cool. You know, like the whole like fantasy world.
No, that's not tall.
You can bend it down, you know.
Yeah. I'd rather do that.
So those
I'm not much for standing. How's that?
You want to lower that so you can read off? May, you know how to lower Ben, can you lower that?
Been in music for 5 years. I get how music is working. Okay. Alright. Hello. My name is Liam. Most of you probably know me, at least the ones that go to Magruder. Mystery wanted me to do the first reading aloud. This was actually my college essay that I submitted to Common App, not one of the ones for the colleges, but for the general essays. And at first I called it 650 because that was the word requirement, which I meant exactly. This ended at exactly 650 words, but due to the context, due to this being a read aloud, due to it being a non-fiction essay, he wanted me to change the title, so I changed it to Detached. It's quite literally, that is what it is for me. So let's go. My eyes were closed, and yet I was moving. cold wind blew past my tunic, chilling me to the bone. The sound of horse hoofs thundered, and I opened my eyes. I was beside 3 other men, all of us bound. We were in the middle of a prisoner convoy headed down a steep stone slope towards the military outpost Helden. Some of the others joined in the petty conversation, but I found no interest in such matters. Like the beginning of my high school career, this scene is one I remember vividly. My first month in high school consisted of a blur of new names, faces, processes, challenges, possibilities, and confusion. Privately, I wondered, how on earth am I going to accomplish this? Is that project really due so soon? What is that teacher's name again? Should I ask this question? How do I study? I've never needed to before. Confused and lost, I quickly fell behind freshman year. Next, I faced another challenge. Lacking any sense of place or time, my caravan suddenly came to a stop. A voice commanded me to step forward. Obligingly, I walked towards the captain. He asked, "And you? Who are you?" Who am I? Am I an Argonian, inferior but adaptable? Maybe a high elf, proud and indifferent? Should I throw my lot in with the wood elves, renouncing progress and maintaining my earthen ties? Or am I an imperial or redguard, immigrant caught in the crossfire of the Civil War? Perhaps a fellow Nord returning to his home? Aside from the choice of who I am, I must also come to terms with my physical appearance. High, low, broad, shallow, flat, or arched. How do I look? How do others see me? How will I see myself? Who am I? The answer to this question I found is not simple. Struggling with possibility after the death of many passions, I floated through sophomore year as aimless as a ghost. And while I knew relatively who I was, I had not yet discovered who I wanted to be, who I could be, and how I would become the best version of myself. This confusion and lack of direction distracted me from myself, setting me on a path where I found myself in others instead of on my own. Luckily, I narrowly escaped those tumultuous times. So if you've been paying attention, these first 4 paragraphs, I've been switching between this fantastical world that I found on my own, where I could make my own choices and do what I needed to. Oftentimes I was thrown in situations I wasn't familiar with, and yet I had to find a way out. Because of this interesting relationship and because of how unique this experience was for me, I found it very, very similar to my path and my progression through high school, where I started off not knowing, what to do or where I'd come from, where any part of this was taking place. And as I progressed through high school, as I progressed through time, as I progressed through this reality, I came more into contact with, what I was, who I was becoming, who I wanted to be, and such matters. So continuing. Now I stand beneath the executioner, knees bent, fatal blade raised high above. I have accepted my fate. Any thoughts of escape are immediately vanquished as I watch a fellow prisoner mercilessly executed before me. I know I cannot think about what will happen next, otherwise I will lose all faith. I have to believe I will be saved by some otherworldly power. Darkness descends. A storm of fire and stone pours from the sky. The circling dragon's fiery breath engulfs all, be it friend or foe. Shocked and stunned, my feet react instinctively. I find shelter and seize this opportunity. My chance has come, and like a phoenix reborn through fire, I must forge a path ahead alone. My journey is uncertain, but I must not squander this opportunity that has been afforded to me. And much like my junior and senior years, a Sparrowhawk, who was the name of the character I chose in this scenario, I escaped from Helgen that day. I changed from acceptance to determination, and the challenges I faced were seemingly overwhelming, an unrelenting tide I could never hope to influence. But now I'm in the midst of my senior year. I have conquered the waves. Standing on the shores, I ask myself, where do I go from here? There's an open expanse before me, with a valley of innumerable villages, interactions, and quests. I must find the one that turns me into the hero I want to be. I gaze down once more at the list I scribbled earlier. One of these, I am sure. So, all in all, this piece, when I was writing it, at first I started off as an analysis. I didn't really go directly into this whole creative piece, this parallelism between fantasy and reality, how I was taking from this fantasy, which was actually a game by the name of Skyrim, one many of you are probably familiar with. I wasn't taking that fantasy and turning it into a parallelism, an allegory for my own life. Instead, I started off analyzing what video games and what, you know, that escape, what that hobby had done for me, and how that had, you know, relieved me of many stresses and many problems in my life. But after careful consideration and much editing, I think I rewrote this essay 2 or 3 times. I realized, you know, it's not so much about what you write, but how you write it. I changed from analyzing to saying, I need to say things indirectly. I need to talk about my mistakes, talk about what college can do for me, talk about the things I've done correctly, the things I've done incorrectly, and who I am. But I can't say it directly. I can't just write it and say, this is what it is, this is what it isn't, you know. Read me and know who I am. I had to be more indirect, I had to be more precise, and I had to craft this very creatively. So after much consideration, and much more time than I anticipated, honestly I was at the deadline. It was the 11th hour of the last day in which I completed this. I managed to submit an essay which I felt was very well written. I was very comfortable with this because it included all those aspects that I was aiming for without saying it directly. And though a lot of this is clearly in there, a lot of it also has to be inferred, implied, and you have to kind of read between the lines to see the parallelism between fantasy and reality, and where it's blended together and where it's not. So I thought this was a very strong piece, and I was very happy to write it. Thank you.
For our next few readers and artists, we will go to Amadea Oberg, Alicia Moreno, and Michi Caceres.
And if you could use one of them, the further away from that speaker you are, the less feedback I'll get, so I can turn it off.
Hi. Earlier this year at my brother's memorial, one of his friends turned to me and said, "I don't know if you know this, but knowing your brother was like knowing James Dean," and this poem was me elaborating and thinking about that statement. I could imagine him a drunk and disillusioned Jim Stark. Perhaps a few of his demons mirrored Cal Trask, but he wasn't much for social estrangement. Never without a story, never without an epic told with such nonchalance, he would assume every late date persisted as such. A shared penchant for fast cars, though it didn't prove equally as dangerous, left me fearing for my life once or twice. The stylized hair, the posture, the entire cool guy vibe, their aesthetic matched to a T. Knowing your brother was like knowing James Dean. At the very least, they both went out with a bang. Thank you. So in my artwork, I try to use color a lot to catch people's eyes. For example, in this piece of the two frogs, I found a picture of a poison dart frog and then inverted the colors. And for the background, I used colors that contrasted with the main frog. And I also used a lot of lines in the background of squares out of even shapes because I was inspired by this one artist whose name I can't remember right now. This piece was The project we did in class was cubism, and I also took inspiration from the same guy with the lines. And I tried to make my colors very, not necessarily flat, but less pigmented almost, by using burnt umber to tone down the colors, like the grapes. I used a lot of brown in them because the color was very strong. I also used a lot of white. I just started this piece Tuesday, and we're doing surface analysis, so I thought, why not do the muscle structure of the face? Originally I was going to do like the actual color. Muscles were like pinkish red, but I thought it'd be fun if I used blue, because it's a color that pops out a lot. And so I'm slowly working on it. And in the background, I tend to do the same type of thing I did here with the squares, but also a main focal point around here. That's it.
Stronger you're talking
Hey, how y'all doing? No, I'm just kidding. My name is Michi, and I'm going to be singing an original song. It's called Get Closer, and it's about a girl that starts dating some guy, but she only dates him because he reminds her of the guy that she actually likes, and then she kind of realizes that, and then she says, "Oops." Yeah, it's kind of a messed up song, but it was a fun idea, and so yeah, I just went with it. Okay, let's just start the thing. Okay. I think I only liked you 'cause you remind me of the one I want for real, and these feelings they're unwanted, and I'm overcome 'cause it's telling me to be real with you. He's so fly, oh my, words cannot describe, and his eyes and his smile keeps me mesmerized for a while. He's so fine, obsessing just with his movement, baby, I'm grooving with whatever you're doing. Baby, keep telling what you're doing. Alright, I know it's not right, me being in love with another guy, and I promise you that I tried to get over him, but I just couldn't do it. 'Cause every time I think I'm getting over him, I catch him again. I'm doing something, honey, haunts me. He's like a phantom. I got the highest ranking in his fandom. Baby, talk to me, I'm not out of the beat. Maybe you're out of line, I guess we'll turn it down. Baby, let them words flow out of your mouth. I see you looking at me with the side of your eye. Baby, I know you got someone, baby, I do too. Let's drop a man and see what we can do. Don't be afraid to get closer. I know you want to. Don't be afraid to get closer. I know you want to. Don't be afraid to get closer. Get closer. Don't be afraid to get closer. No, don't be afraid to get closer. To get closer. Don't be afraid. No. Don't be afraid. No, baby, don't be afraid to get closer. I saw the stars in your eyes on that night. No, I haven't heard that you see them in love.
For our next few readers, we have Sakina Dosti, Yashel Hunt, and then our featured professional local artist, James Vasari.
Hi everyone. I'm gonna read one of my poems that I wrote for the Magruder Lit Mag, the nonfiction edition. It's called Badlands. On Tuesday, I woke up, and there were tears in my eyes. And I was awake, but there was a haze, something raw and desperate, washing over me, pulling me apart and piecing me together. I fantasized that I held the world in my hands, and it was glowing and beautiful, and I was tired. Tired, but I still had things to do, places to go, expectations to meet, work and take time, study atlases, talk and smile and cheat and cry and lie down in tangled moonlit sheets and drift. I wake up on Wednesday and still I am empty. Thank you.
Near the mic. I'm going to hear it.
Get real close.
I'm Michelle, I'm Michelle, and I'm gonna essay I wrote about something very similar to what's happening right now. I never thought I had stage fright. I just deeply dread public speaking. My heart races, my voice goes quiet, and I talk quickly and stutter and slur my words. Needless to say, I hate presentations and speeches. They invoke a pure terror in me. Standing in front of everyone with their eyes fixed on me like a pack of polar bears, watching, getting ready to attack. The worst part is the anticipation, the unbearable waiting. I curl and crack my toes until it's uncomfortable to stand and flex my hands until my fingers hurt from the twisting of the stress. When I joined the Magruder Lit Magazine as a sophomore, I didn't think I would have to present my writing. But at the end of the year, the literary magazine had a showcase at Out of the Way Cafe to show off the magazine and the talented students to the public. The year I joined overwhelmed by schoolwork, I forgot about the showcase. To hold myself more accountable, I became a fiction editor. In my junior year, I had a poem published in the fiction edition of the magazine. So when the showcase came around again, I felt obligated to share my poem. The other fiction editor, Casey, introduced the performers. I watched as the other students confidently walk to the stage and speak without hesitation and assuredly share their poems, stories, and songs. I tried to enjoy it, but the voice keeps whispering, "You're next." Every time Casey introduced the next performer, I dreaded the thought of her looking my way and saying my name. I curl and crack my toes and flex my hands, twisting my fingers into awkward positions, waiting with apprehension until she locks eyes with mine and says my name. I deeply inhale and walk to the stage. Like the noble wolf standing alone in the tundra, I look out over the sea of frozen people and think I'm going to freeze up here. My heart retreats from the cold, and my lungs sting from the cold, dry air. I have to say something, anything. Hello, my name's Michelle. My poem is called Anticipation. I opened the magazine and stared. She's a cruel mistress, the old sister of patience, time's greatest ally and enemy. I quickly read my poem, trying to articulate every word. I glance up in the middle and shiver from the cold. To all she waits she burns, to all who sleep she wakes. Sweet relief from her departure. I smile, and halfway down, I look up at the crowd, no longer frozen and still, but enjoying my poem. I stop feeling the chill of the cold. If patience is a virtue, what is she? She tastes off sleep in the night, she taps her feet in the day. I remember the warmth of writing the poem in the middle of the night, impatiently waiting for the return of school after being sick and giddy with excitement over the prospect of seeing my friends after my absence. To all who suffer through it, who say it's worth the wait. I grin at the cleverness of my last line and thank the audience. They would clap and I would return to my seat. And then I have a deep sigh of relief from letting it wash over me, thinking, what was I worried about? It's ironic. My poem is called Anticipation. I love and hate the feeling. The agonizing weight over having exaggerated the event. But anticipation is ambivalent. Dual connotation, excitement and apprehension. The feeling only fades after the wait's over, after the anxiety subsides, leaving a universal calm in its wake. No matter how much I dread it, I can't wait for it. Or can't wait for it. The solution is always to face it. There's no need to panic over what comes next because anticipation is not worth the wait, as bad as it seems.
Good afternoon. I'm James Vasari. I'm honored to be here today. I'm the featured artist with your Lit Mag. I just wanted to say a couple of words. I am a professional artist. That's what I do for a living. It's my main income. I am a teacher down at the Yellow Barn. I instruct down there. I instruct Drawing 1, and I'm also president of the Montgomery Art Association. Currently, I have a few paintings on exhibit throughout Montgomery County, and this is kind of an honor, really, to be here. I appreciate you asking me to come down here. I was asked to bring a piece of my own artwork. I don't really carry my artwork around. A lot of it is exhibited in different places throughout the county. The artwork that I carry everywhere is this booklet, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted to mention that I'm on Facebook and social media. One of the things that we do every so often, you'll get nominated to put your artwork on social media, 1 piece per day over 12 days. This year I decided not to do that. I would much rather promote other people's artwork at this time. I have what artists have been calling the artist's curse, which is, as an artist, you really don't feel like your work is as important as anybody else's when you go around and look at it. And I personally believe that art is everywhere. You can't get anywhere without seeing art. I mean, take a look around the room today. Beautiful pieces of art. Somewhere along the line, somebody thought that it was important that we have art around us, that we're surrounded by art, that we learn about art. This happened many, many years ago. It's traced back to the Egyptians, where they decided that it wasn't just important to build walls and stomp hay into mud and make bricks, but it was also important to have aesthetics around us. And that's when they started to send craftsmen to schools and trade schools, and they would develop a skill in the arts, not just putting bricks together and this type of thing. They wanted to be surrounded with artwork. It was important. When we become artists, we of course have certain standards, and we want to determine who's good and who's needing a little more work, that type of thing. When you look at your favorite football team, you decide that they're good because they're winning awards, because they have the bigger fan base, but they've also learned a lot to get to where they are at that point. It's not just showing up and throwing the ball and winning. There's a lot of learning involved before you get there. So when I was in school, there were eccentric artists that you would think like, hey, this guy's really gonna make it. He's really making a big splash on the scene. But beyond that, there are things that we have to know as artists. Whether we're singing, whether we're drawing, whether we're writing poetry, there are basics that we need to know before we just splash things together. There's line, of course, with any medium that's going to make a mark is line. There's composition, there's color theory, design. With color theory, there are things that go on like what color is going to be more important next to the other color, things that you might not think about as a layman or other than an artist. Composition. Any of these pieces around here are based on more than just the idea of I want to make something pretty. And there's a lot of practice involved. I see a lot of people putting things together and putting together beautiful work, and it didn't just happen overnight. These are skills that take knowledge that give you the opportunity to produce your work. But on the other thing, one of the other things I want to say is most artists are introverts. We're kind of shy. We don't like to stand up in front of people and make speeches. We're nervous, like our last speaker just pointed out with her work. But you have to find somebody that's going to produce you, that's going to promote you. I like to look at Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley may have just been another singer if we didn't know who the heck he was. But Colonel Parker went out there and he put his name on everything until everybody, everywhere you turned around, there he was. So promoting yourself is also a big part of being an artist. But when I personally go out and I look at things, I enjoy talking to people about what I see and why I find it interesting. I go to groups down to museums, I surround myself with art, and it just becomes a part of me and my community. So that's how I became an artist and how I promote myself. This is my sketchbook. This is one of my sketchbooks. This is one of my pieces of work. Everywhere that I go, when I'm sitting and listening or just making observations, I'm drawing. And these drawings are reference points, but they're also a big part of my life. It's like a diary. So it's a matter of being focused and concentrating all the time on the skill that you want to build in order to let your light shine. And sooner or later, once you've surrounded yourself with all these people that really are interested in what you've done, because it usually ends up being a really beautiful thing when you put that effort into it, you can let your light shine and share it with the world. So I appreciate you letting me come out here today, and good luck to everybody.
We will finish our event with David Caceres and No One Else.
Need a little context there.
No One Else is a band, not David and then no one.
Hi everyone, I'm David Caceres, and I'll just read my essay. So, we sit under the evening sun on the truck edge, our sore fingers gripping the hot metal frame. My eyes race through the passing mountains, the tattered homes in the bearing field, and the kids dressed in school uniforms, walking along the roadside. The scorching sun and the gust of dry wind bombard my face as I long for water. The scrawny pickup truck, glutted with luggage, jolts along the rocky road and hits a pothole. My body jerks forward, but someone yanks me still. I still look over to my cousins, and we burst out laughing. As a child, this strange place was a chance for adventurous escapades from home. But this time in March 2017, I truly felt that I was returning to my homeland, El Salvador. From the moment we hop off the plane, I feel a sense of humbleness. The seasonal heat waves scorch our skin, the poverty-stricken conditions, the heavy marks on families left by gang violence, and the societal constraints are left everywhere. Drinking water is scarce, and our water supply is cut short for many days. My cousins born into the farmlands grow up to be farmers unless they journey north. They learn to use a sickle at a young age and suffer juvenile labor in the heat. I once dared to ask my cousin Christian how much he earned, but I never thought I would regret asking. $4 a day of hard work for a father and 3 working children to support a family of 8, all living under one roof. Yet, these economic conditions never rip apart my family's morals. In fact, it empowers them to become stronger and to hold tighter onto the values of a family-oriented culture. My family's strong spirit inspires me to persevere with humility through the constraints of life. I suddenly realized that I feel true happiness only when I live in the instantaneous moments of life. Even as poor living conditions continue to endanger my own family, it's heartwarming to look for the positive qualities in my community, even if the events are small and insignificant. It's heartening to see my mom cooking tortillas by the fire stand with my abuela and tia. My cousins and I play under the pitch black night, fish in the nearby river, explore the vast terrain under the glaring sun, eat the wild fruits, but most importantly, live in the moment. Seeing my parents' excitement when returning to their homeland and seeing Salvadorian relatives in their ordinary lives pushes me to reflect on who I am. Seeing my cousins, sunburnt, skinny, and frail, tend the farm animals and look after each other while working in the fields motivates me to stay humble and examine my family roots. Seeing families breathe life into the streets of Moncagua with dances and Sunday food markets under the blazing sun, and tasting the variety of Salvadorian sweets reinforces my own culture and helps me take pride in my Latino identity. My travel experiences help me look firsthand at my own cultural identity and see the humility of my family. It makes me realize the opportunities I take for granted and that I have at my own disposal the potential to change myself and improve the negative stereotypes of my own identity. I will become my ancestors' wildest dream. Seeing my oppressed families and the economic reality of El Salvador encourages me to break the poverty cycle, to pursue the better future that my parents aspire for me. I refuse to turn away from my bloodline. Rather, I empower myself whenever I return to my humble roots. It's uplifting to realize that my parents came to the U.S. in desperation to escape a civil war, to look for better opportunities. Now it's in my hands to continue and empower this dream for a better future.
So I want to take a minute here to thank everyone who was brave enough to come and present their pieces. Like, it's a really hard thing to do, especially for people who don't perform and don't share their pieces online even. To come up here and in front of an audience they don't know, they know they're going to see these people in school every day, but they don't know exactly who it is. It's a hard thing to do, and I gotta say, like, I loved all those pieces. I loved the college essays, David's, Liam's, and Sakina's poem, Yashel's discussion on nerves. I know I'm a little nervous right now. I'm trying to fill time. But and the art pieces, this was a really good lit mag. I think this has been the best one. I don't know. That's just the best one so far that I've been to. So, some people say that songs aren't really nonfiction, because obviously you have to doctor the truth a little bit, but in all nonfiction pieces, you have to edit it so that it sounds good. I think that these next two songs will strike true. These are real experiences that all of us have had, that we just turned into song form. This first one is my first song that I wrote myself, and I'm a little proud of it. It's a bit of a edgy teenager song, but hopefully it doesn't come across as too abrasive. It's called Lament No Harm.
And she really lament no harm.
No good brown nose, stay on your toes. Be nice to neighbors, do extra labor. No free time, turn your schedule on a dime. Riding in a line, hit the deadline, it's fine. I don't mind, 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 I don't mind. Give every last ounce of your energy to make sure the people around you are pleased. If they don't give back, if they don't follow along, clearly there's a problem, you've done something wrong. Make amends, try again, try again, try again, try again, try again, try again. And all of the cherubim are kissing her and dancing with him, while all of the lonely folks are left to be down. No good brown nose, all the ship roads say the wrong thing, who knows the real thing. You have no feet, you know that's not what from here. Shed another tear as the sarcastic seas. The shift gears, the shift gears, the shift gears. And all of the cherubim are kissing her and dancing with him, while all of the lonely folks are left to be down. Hey, there has been, have you seen him? His heart is hardened, I beg your pardon. Hoodie Grove, sir, I thank you, Miss Bo. Laugh a little louder, play it off as a joke, and you choke, 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 and you choke. You know, I thanked all of you, but I forgot to thank the most important person of all, Mr. Earhart, who makes all of this happen. Like, thank you for letting us perform, for setting this whole thing up. Thank you.
It's all your equipment.
This is our equipment, but we didn't book this place. That's you. Take some credit.
Mr. Earhart's to blame for everything that happens today. We're pretty much going to make that true.
With our final song, We Are No One Else. We're 3/4 of no one else. We're a band, we play out a lot. We play here sometimes. We're going to
be here next Saturday night.
Yeah.
We're doing a fundraiser for Toys for Tots, and we'll be on somewhere in the evening, right after Daryl Davis. And this song is about what, Meg?
Well, I know I'm getting tired of watching the news. I mean, oh my God, net neutrality, politics, like, it's getting crazy. So we here and No One Else have written a song that'll let you know what's going on at any given time, at any given place in modern America.
Living fast in modern America. So many people to deal with and please. I soak it up, but I can't stay aware because I feel like a sponge that needs to be squeezed. Hold on, don't holler, you can't scare me. Work for the dollar while I'm still free, while I'm still free, while I'm still free. Well, nothing lasts in modern America. You throw it away and buy something new, but people trashed are left to repair themselves. Please don't complain when it happens to you. At arm's length, with arms full, you come to greet me. My own strength, the moon's pull, serves to defeat me. I don't know just how we got here. I won't even pretend I care. I'm just how we got here. I'll train that gets me there. I'll take the train that gets me there. I'll take the train that gets me there. Hold on, don't holler, you can't scare me. Work for the dollar while I'm still free, while I'm still free, while I'm still free. Well, the past means less in modern America. As immigrant seeds forget where they grew, it's up to you to know what you're doing. Don't get upset if it don't work out for you. At arm's length, with arms full, you come to greet me. My own strength, the moon's pull, serves to defeat me. I don't know just how we got here. I won't even pretend I care. I'm just how we got here. I'll take the train that gets there. I'll take the train that gets me there. I'll take the train that gets me there. Hold on, don't holler, you can't scare me. Work for the dollar while I'm still free, while I'm still free, while I'm still free. Modern America, modern America, modern America, modern America. Thank you. Just one more thing. We tried to videotape this whole thing, so I'll put it online and give Mr. Earhart the link if you guys want to see what you did.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out here. Thank you to Out of the Way Cafe and Brian at Out of the Way for hosting us. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and thanks again for coming out and supporting.